Greetings and welcome to an all-new season of Best Replays of the Week. But this time we're only taking replays from Europe, North America, Asia and Korea. Not only that, but after this episode, we'll be only accepting replays over a 2-week period to make sure only the freshest replays are used. Right, as always, I'm your host Luke Neller, and today we're going to see a master sniper at work, a killer who looks like a toaster, and a lightweight champion who dances like a butterfly but stings like a bee. So let's get to it, shall we? We kick off the new season with an excellent display of sniper gameplay. The sniper goes by the name of Pavtak, and he's driving the T-34-85 on Westfield. With 15 targets out on the field, a professional marksman doesn't waste any time. He makes use of his nimble medium tank speed and powers up the side of the valley. On the other flank, a T-49 driver seems to suffer a nervous breakdown and has to be sent back to the garage for a little rest. It's not a promising start. But never mind, today's sniper is a lone wolf, and this looks like a target-rich environment. The driver barely has time to bring the vehicle to a stop before the gunner engages an enemy Cromwell from across the valley with deadly accuracy. Just look at the speed and power of this gun. From his eagle's nest, Pavtak is the king of all he surveys. If he can see it, he can hurt it, as enemy after enemy feels the sting of the 85mm gun. The sniper rules this side of the valley, but allies pushing on the other flank are in trouble. The score is 8-5, and being one machine down from the start is starting to be felt. What does a true sniper do? Does he rush in to help the main push? No, he keeps his calm and waits for an opening. It's time to relocate, as the Allies' push has moved too far to support from here. Pavtak makes use of the ground cover, stopping as soon as the commander senses that they've been spotted. Instinct and training warn him it's time to duck into cover, and they are proved right as a shell flies over the tank's turret. Two enemies are revealed, a Panther and a Type 58, both at perfect health. Getting the intel comes at a cost of a few hits, but now our sniper knows exactly what he's up against. Allies distract the opponent, and Pavtak wastes no time, drilling a hole into the side of the Panther's turret. The enemies are forced to disengage, and once again our master sniper is in his element, gunning down fast, distant targets and making it look easy. With no enemies in sight, he dashes forward to the next covered position. Once again an enemy is revealed, dashing down the side of the valley, and the lead shot connects without any trouble. Now it's just a question of mopping up. Moving a little, shifting his avenue of fire, the sniper doesn't let this game drag on any longer than it has to. This perfect display of tank sniper gameplay makes Pavtak our Sniper of the Week. Congratulations! Next in line is this week's defender. Turbo Parkit drives his SU-100 on live oaks and shows us how sometimes the best defense is a really good defense. The battle starts typically enough. Turbo positions his TD on the small hill and looks for targets in the city. A shot of the EOC may or may not have connected, but it definitely revealed his position as a rival TV opens up and damages his gun. Turbo backs off a little, and soon has an opportunity to return the favor. The 100mm barks once, and the smaller machine is out of the match. It would have been nice to engage that KV Sport, but the Allied one being in the way makes the shot too risky. Luckily, another one presents its side for perforation soon enough. The finishing shot fails to connect, however, and the overall state of the match is starting to look troubling. The score is 2-4, but more importantly, the bridge is wide open. Another ally falls, as the SU-100 turns its attention to guarding the rear. A masterful shot leaves the ELC hanging by a thread. Let's see it get away this time. In a face-off of low-tier machines, the ELC and the Hetzer take each other out. Spectacular enough. But now there's nobody left to spot the approaching enemies. And right on cue, the Chinook starts taking fire. There is little Turbo can do besides backing into cover as his ally is rapidly dismantled. Elsewhere on the map, yet another ally falls, making the score 4-8. The push is making headway towards the enemy base when the real test begins. An enemy is threatening his flank, and at the same time the capture siren starts to blare. The allied Hellcat charges forwards and reveals a VK-3002M, hiding behind the ammo crates. The ally lives just long enough for the cap to be reset before vision fades. A low-tier TD is also spotted for a moment. It's not enough for a killing blow, but it's a warning that more cappers are coming. An enemy Hellcat is encountered by the push and swiftly dealt with. Turbo has his work cut out for him though, as the alarm goes off again, and this time there is no one left to spot for him. Moving forward to engage, he's relieved to see that the flanking enemy also decides to defend, rather than engaging him. A T1 Heavy and the Su-85B were seen before. In theory, the Su-100 should be able to deal with them just fine, but the capture bar is moving awfully fast. The third kappa foolishly reveals itself by taking a shot. Lucky for Turbo, shells ping off the SU's front armor as he works hard to keep resetting the capture bar. 2 down, 1 to go. Excellent use of cover, and the really beefy gun is turning this into a fight the enemies just can't win. Really, how long does that T1 think he can last? But it's getting a bit frustrating as the rounds just aren't getting through. It shouldn't really matter though, as the allied capture is nearly done. Then disaster! An allied kappa is killed by that nosy Hellcat from before. And it seems that all the capture points went with it. How? Why? Suddenly it's all up in the air again, and the T1 is still not taking any damage. It looks like Turbo has to go in close and personal to reset this cap. The dead tank is not making this easy, but the commander's hatch is still visible. Careful aim, and fire! There! It's reset. There's no time to celebrate though, as an AT-2 starts pumping rounds into our defender's back. The damage is 28 points shy of a kill, resulting in a 2 vs 1 DPM fight, which the SU-100 probably can't win. The T1 Heavy is finished off before the AT-2 puts the final round into the SU. But it doesn't matter. The work is done. The remaining ally finishes the capture, and there's nothing the last enemy can do about it. Turbo Parkett made it his mission to keep the home base secure, and his resolve held firm. With that exciting display and 275 base defense points, he is our Defender of the Week. Well done! Our next nominee goes by the name Black Dawn. The match is an encounter battle on steps, and he appears to be driving a giant toaster. The Panzer, when I'll be able to pronounce this toaster, 4C, has to be one of the least threatening looking machines in the game. And right at the start, we get to see that its ability to climb is nothing to write home about. On the other hand, that 88mm anti-tank gun looks like it can get the job done. By the time the first victim comes close enough to be shot at, the score is 3-6. The Panzer 1C is barely a morsel though. This toaster is hungry, and its appetite for destruction is far from sated. The unarmored TD is a careful tanker's machine, and someone has to stay back to guard the artillery. The score is 5-9 however, and it's starting to look like this may be his game to carry. Maybe there's more to this thin-skinned metal box than meets the eye. 3 enemies charge the artillery position, only to die rapidly. The allies are halfway through with the capture. Could it be this easy? Probably not. And in any case, it's best to head that way to make sure. The capture is reduced to almost nothing, but a rival toaster makes the mistake of showing its top. A single accurate shot, and there can be only one. With only 2 allies left, and the capture at 70%, it's time to get creative. It's not often that you see one of these machines charging a heavy tank. The KV-1S turns to face the unexpected attacker, but Black Dawn doesn't intend to stick around. The enemy artillery is on the ball, but doesn't quite land the shell on the fragile TD. The hit-and-run tactics are flawless, but the team are being obliterated by the relentless enemy artillery. Only a Matilda is left. The 88mm is doing a number on the KV-1S, but something warns Black Dawn that it's time to move. And indeed, the enemy artillery have realized that the true threat is this toaster from hell. First, a round flies overhead, and soon after, a double strike hits the ground just meters away. Black Dawn claims the first artillery piece and keeps his slow and clumsy machine moving to present a slightly more difficult target. The Matilda is dead. It was only a question of time. But there are still 5 enemies to toast, including the Tier 6 heavy tank and an 88. Many would think it's game over, but not for our protagonist. What matters to him is that there are 2 more artillery pieces to kill, and the other 3 enemies can wait their turn. The missed shot is unfortunate, but a follow-up leaves the RT a small nudge from death. So death by nudge it is! The remaining RT uses the moment to strike, but once again misses by meters. There's no time to look for the SU-5 now though, as the enemy have decided to win with a cap. The Churchill is late to the party, and it's easy to make sure it never gets there. 7 kills, 3 enemies left, and through all of this, the German-made death box has not been so much as scratched. Impressive and unexpected. The base capture is starting to be a problem. One scouting loop reveals the enemy positions, but there's no safe direction to approach from. A head-on duel with an alert 88 would clearly be suicide. Retreat and try another approach. Ouch! The aim of that SU-5 is getting better. 2 enemies left, and the TD evades frantically against an artillery shell which fails to arrive. The cap is approaching 50%, so the 88 has to be dealt with first. Once again, its indestructible front is facing the right way, so the toaster has to trust his luck. Quick, get the shot off before you're dead! And this time luck is with him. The APCR round finds a weak spot, and the higher tier TD is no more. Sometimes heroes need luck as well as skill. The sensible thing to do is to start the cap and force the SPG to respond. The wait is not long, as the SU-5 reveals itself. A single shot is enough. Victory! 10 kills, ace tanker, and a double handful of awards. We are truly impressed, especially as this is not the sort of machine you expect to see going on a rampage. The Top Gun of the Week award is well deserved for Black Dawn. Congratulations! Sometimes we get a replay that just has to be shared, even though we aren't quite sure what category it fits in. For those games, we have created the Crucial Contribution Award, and Death Rush has the honor of being our first winner. The standard battle takes place on Northwest, and we get to see a somewhat rare machine in action, the Taiwanese Tier 6 Premium Light Tank Type 64, which combines incredible speed with the Hellcat's turreting gun. The battle starts, and Death Rush is off like a shot. Within moments, he's racing west at 72 kilometers an hour. A Panther is spotted and quickly dealt with. There isn't much to do on the high ground, so he moves to see where the Type can be put to best use. A long-range shot at a second Panther fails to connect. But here we have a Stug who really should take a look behind him. 4 quick shots and it's all over for him. The next customer is a T-29 pushing into the Allied base. All its attention is focused on the Su-100Y, so Death has a chance to get several free hits in. When the enemy Chaffee decides to join the fight, it's time to leave. The Type cannot afford a DPM contest. The Chaffee doesn't want to let its rival escape, and is causing a lot of damage. In the end, the enemy leaves an opening, and a single quick shot silences its gun for good. An IS can be seen far below, and it also receives some rounds for good measure. The M4 narrowly misses what could have been a crippling hit, and the capture alarm goes off. A quick duel goes poorly for the Sherman, and the fighting scout speeds off to deal with the capture. What is this IS doing? Does Death need to do it all by himself? 1 round to reset the capture, and then running like the Flash seems like the right idea. The IS is still not moving. What a time to take a nap. At least it will draw some fire. Bang, bang, and then back into cover. The enemy heavy must be getting pretty annoyed by now. Repeat the same maneuver when the enemy decides to hit the IS again. That seems to finally wake them up to who the real threat is. Luckily, he's a one-shot now, and the speed of the Type means it controls when and where the final engagement happens. Then again, a single hit is all it takes to blow up the fragile light tank as well, and there's no chance of a bounce. Once more, the enemy can't resist taking a shot at the comatose IS. If he doesn't learn, he shouldn't expect any mercy. Finishing off the heavy is no problem at all. What now, though? There's still a high-tier heavy tank left on the opposing side, and the only ally is an artillery unit which seems to have done more harm than good so far. There's only one answer to somebody with this playstyle. Seek him out and take him down. No way. The remaining enemy starts the capture, and the Type couldn't really be much further away. Is it even possible to get there in time? But Death will be damned if he gives up now. Racing against the clock, the Type 64 flies across the map. Every bit of speed is squeezed from the little machine. 70%, 80, will he make it in time? Yes! He reached the base, where's the enemy? Hiding behind the buildings, of course. Reset shot at full speed, critical hit! No! The return fire comes through the building, but luckily the massive shell doesn't find the little tank. The cap is reset from 100%, and after a few tense moments, the 3rd premium round seals the victory. That's how you carry a game with a light tank. The Type 64 seems to be everywhere at once and makes Death Rush our very first Crucial Contribution winner. Congratulations! That's it for the first episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to make sure you don't miss a show, instructions on how to follow the channel are on screen now. Remember to keep sending in the replays, leave your feedbacks in the comments, and I'll see you all in the next episode. Thanks for watching.